Welcome to The Explainer. Right now, if you tune into the global football conversation heading into the 2026 World Cup, the media is absolutely obsessed with the usual favorites. Everyone is just endlessly debating the star power of Argentina, the terrifying depth of France, the flair of Brazil, Spain's technical mastery, and, of course, England's generational talents. But amidst all that deafening chatter, there is a surprising, almost eerie silence surrounding another team. A team that, historically speaking, is an absolute juggernaut. Which brings us to the central mystery of today's analysis. Are we, as a global football community, ignoring 2026's most dangerous contender? Are fans and analysts alike making a fatal error by overlooking one of football's most historically dominant tournament nations just because they've had a rough few years? Okay, let's dive right into this tactical dossier. We're going to cover the forgotten tournament giant, the dark era slump, Germany's tactical resurgence, their elite squad depth, we'll address the mentality and criticisms, and finally deliver our 2026 World Cup verdict. Let's get started. Section 1. The forgotten tournament giant. As I mentioned, the overwhelming media focus right now is squarely on nations like Brazil, Spain, and Portugal. It makes Germany the ultimate forgotten heavyweight in international football. But despite the lack of current hype, you can never, ever disregard their historical pedigree. This is a nation that has consistently defined what it means to be a tournament machine. They're quietly waiting in the shadows, and their track record alone makes them a perpetual threat that simply cannot be dismissed by anyone looking seriously at the 2026 landscape. Moving on to Section 2, the Dark Era Slump. Now, to be totally fair to the skeptics, there are valid reasons why people are doubting them, and we need to explore those recent struggles objectively. The public's doubt is rooted in a very clear, very painful timeline. In 2018, we saw a shock early World Cup exit, which was followed by lingering inconsistency and tactical confusion heading into 2021. And then, the nightmare repeats itself with another early World Cup elimination in 2022. By 2023, you had rock-bottom confidence and massive managerial shifts. This whole dark age created the current public perception of a broken team. But actually, here is the critical part. Judging Germany today based on this 5-year slump relies on entirely outdated information. Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, Germany's tactical resurgence. Modern management has stepped in and completely overhauled their identity, effectively solving the tactical confusion of that dark era. And here's what's so fascinating. The absolute anchor of their rebuilt structure is positional play. This isn't just a buzzword, it's a tactical philosophy where players occupy specific zones to control space and manipulate the opponent's defense. It effortlessly creates numerical advantages all across the pitch. This is the fundamental foundation of Germany's modern attacking football, completely replacing the disorganized chaos we saw back in 2021 and 2022. Their new on-pitch DNA relies on a modernized tactical blueprint. We're talking relentless pressing intensity to win the ball high up the pitch. Once they have it, the transition speed is lightning fast. They've also established a vastly restructured defensive organization to stop counterattacks, all while dictating the tempo through absolutely elite midfield control. This combination is exactly what makes the current German side so lethal in both possession and transition. It really all boils down to this: efficiency meets modern flair. It turns out, applying world-renowned German engineering to modern football is pretty terrifying. They have taken that legendary, traditional ruthless efficiency and supercharged it with highly creative, modern tactical execution. Section 4. Elite Squad Depth Examined. Tactics are great, for sure, but you need the players to actually execute them. Let's take an objective look at how their roster stacks up globally against the heavily favored nations. And this brilliantly illustrates the reality. When you stack Germany up against favorites like France, England, and Argentina, it's pretty eye-opening. In defense, Germany has resurgent stability and elite ball distribution, whereas many favorites are top-heavy or prone to defensive lapses. In the midfield, Germany boasts world-class control and transition speed, while others often rely heavily on individual brilliance to just bail them out. Up top, Germany attacks with fluid creativity and goals by committee, bypassing the need to rely on a single, highly pressured superstar striker. It turns out, Germany absolutely possesses the balanced depth required for a deep World Cup run. The German arsenal is incredibly well-rounded. You have this lethal blend of battle-tested veteran leadership. Think of the stability and tempo someone like Toni Kroos provides, setting the tone for the explosive energy of emerging world-class youth stars like Jamal Musiala and Florian Wirtz.
Because they rely on unpredictable, fluid goal-scoring threats from various positions rather than a lone target man, they are incredibly tough to mark. Add in players with highly adaptable tactical profiles, and you get one of international football's most cohesive and balanced units.
Section 5, Mentality and Criticisms Addressed. We can't do this analysis without directly confronting the lingering public doubts about their striker consistency and alleged defensive gaps. The outdated public perception claims they have a vulnerable defense and lack an elite superstar striker. But the tactical reality? It's vastly different. By utilizing goals by committee and elite transition speed, they just don't need a traditional number 9 to dominate matches. And their highly adaptable defensive structures, born from their modernized positional play, perfectly solve those perceived defensive weaknesses. Honestly, the criticisms are largely based on the ghost of 2022, not the reality of the team today. And because of that negative perception, something really fascinating has happened. The pressure is off. Being underestimated creates a massive psychological advantage. By lowering expectations, the squad is suddenly free to play dynamic, aggressive football without the paralyzing, suffocating scrutiny faced by the tournament's heavier favorites. This freedom absolutely amplifies the tournament advantage. Remember, tournament football requires a fundamentally different mindset than qualifiers or friendlies. Historically, Germany is a master of knockout stage pressure. They know exactly how to peak at the precise right moment during a month-long campaign. They have the tactical adaptability to survive against wildly varied opponents, all grounded by a deep-rooted, historical winning culture that is literally baked into the national team's DNA. Section 6, the 2026 World Cup Verdict. Let's look at their realistic odds when they actually match up against the world's absolute best. In a knockout scenario, tactical matchups dictate everything. Germany's favorable matchups are against teams relying on slow build-up play or isolated stars. Why? Because Germany's relentless, organized pressing will absolutely suffocate them and force turnovers in really dangerous areas. However, their unfavorable matchups will be against the rare teams capable of matching their relentless pressing intensity directly in the midfield, turning the game into a chaotic physical battle. But against the vast majority of top-tier opponents, Germany's structure makes them an absolute nightmare to play against. I think this quote entirely summarizes the sleeping giant reality we've been talking about. Germany may not be the most hyped team entering FIFA World Cup 2026, but ignoring them could be one of the biggest mistakes football fans make. They have rebuilt their tactical foundation, they have the squad depth, and they have the tournament pedigree to realistically reach the semifinals, the final, or, even win the whole thing. Which leaves us with this final thought. When you look at the landscape of international football today, is your 2026 World Cup bracket making a fatal error? If you are writing Germany off based on what happened 4 years ago, you might be in for a massive tactical shock. Thanks for joining this explainer. Keep asking questions and enjoy the beautiful game.